What's going on? My last videos have been primarily just Orioles related. However, fun fact, I made this channel last year during the end of the Ravens season, and I made it because I was really just infuriated after every game, and I was like complaining about everything. And so I made this channel to be like, does anyone else think Harbaugh sucks or this, that, and the third? I just wanted to like create some kind of like engagement, and that's pretty much why I made it. However, no one watched it, and probably no one's gonna watch these. But I figured I'd at least do better, like starting off in a fresh season, both with baseball and football. Neither one are really going on right now, although baseball is in spring training. But I wanted to give myself like clean slate, so I want to go over the Ravens, which is like primarily the reason why I made this channel, which is why it's called Birds of a Feather, because I think, you know, the flock and everything. But I just want to go over, who we got a lot of free agents up. Who's realistically coming back. And I just at first I want to get into the Jesse Minter hire, which I think is like I think all Ravens fans, I think we always knew it was going to be either Minter or it was going to be Anthony Weaver. I actually approve of the Minter hire way more than the Weaver hire because I like Anthony Weaver, but we don't know about schematically where is he at. I think this new phase of football, all these older the Tomlins, Harbaughs, all these guys are like going. You know what I mean? They're on their way out. You got to focus on the future. And I think Minter is very Mike McDonald. You had the best coach in football in front of you, and you didn't even bring him back. You let him go. You kept hold on to John for 3 more years to just lose more games every year. That's why Eric DeCosta is like actually, and I'll get into all that. But the Minard hire was a great hire. He's very Mike McDonald esque. Same kind of blueprint, went back to college, came back up to you know what I mean? Like, it's all same. Both were in Baltimore. Both left to go coach college defense. Came back to the NFL for 1 or 2 years at coordinator spots, and now they're head coaches. I mean, it's literally the same blueprint. Schematically, they're pretty much identical. They're both really good with secondaries. They know what schematically will help a team beat a team. They adjust very well. I like what Minter has done with a hurt, banged up secondary and defense, and how that defense has still stayed the same week after week. So I love that hire. But the thing about him is that there's nothing to evaluate as far as him as a head coach. There's nothing to go off of, right? But I think the one thing that has really given me a lot of confidence in that hire is who he's hired, his staff he's put together. Um, you bring in Declan Doyle. That's another guy who's like Minter. How much of that success with the offense with the Bears was Declan, and how much of it was their coach, who really is the one calling plays and everything, and that is his, you know, uh, his offense and his scheme. So Declan Doyle is just like Minter in that I really don't know how much. There's not too much to evaluate. But again, I do like the hire of Declan Doyle. Um, then you bring in the O line run game coordinator from the Falcons. Love that. I don't like our offensive line coach. You know what I mean? They bring in Mike Mickens as the passing coordinator. I think that was a good hire. Um, you bring in the secondary coach, uh, who is Mike Mickens. You bring him in as the secondary coach from Notre Dame. You got a guy on your team who went to Notre Dame, who's arguably the best defensive player in football right now, and Kyle Hamilton. And he's Notre Dame's always got a good secondary, especially as of late. Uh, and I'm a Notre Dame guy, and by Notre Dame guy, my grandparents love Notre Dame, and they like beat that into me um, every Saturday. So I'm kind of a Notre Dame guy. And I'm Irish. But anyway, it's saying you like what team you like college football wise is like you could really piss people off somehow by doing that. So anyway, that was a great hire, regardless if you think Notre Dame is like overrated or whatever. So those were good hires. I mean, I like those hires. Now let's get into free agents, things like that. Who's leaving? Obviously, Isaiah Likely is leaving. We knew that when they bring back Mark Andrews. Although I will say, I bet you he doesn't have to go. I would argue we could re-sign him. We just could. I don't think he probably wants more of a role, and he probably wants his own team. But I don't know. I mean, he's not that expensive. We could do it. You're offering Linderbaum $20 million a year. That's another guy who is leaving. I don't think he wants to be a Raven. I personally would rather him leave than pay him $20+ million a year. I think he's a great run blocking offensive lineman, but pass blocking, he's not all that. He just isn't. He also has made mistakes. He wasn't that good last year. He is a Pro Bowler and he is a good offensive lineman. I just don't want to pay him number one in the league, top money. I just don't want to do that. You could just get the dude from Buffalo. You could just get their center. That's another guy who we've kind of been attached to. With the Ravens, you have to understand, the Ravens do Raven stuff constantly. They never won't do Raven-like things. They're never going to step outside of themselves, okay? And I will say a guy who, Alohi Gilman and Ardarius, both of those guys, you bring back, out of those two, I think you bring back Alohi. His tackling is garbage, but he makes plays. He's always like around the ball. He's a smart guy. I think him and Minner will be good. I think it's key to bring back a safety. I really do. If you want the best out of Kyle, just limiting him to a strong or free safety role is you're not gonna give him the best chance to shine. And I think Malachi will be good in year 2, especially under Jesse. A guy we need to bring back is Awuzie. He arguably was our best corner. He was great. That's a guy who we need to bring back. Like, again, the Ravens are pretty much set. And the reason why I don't want to go into, like, what free agent we should get, we're not going to. We don't do that. We get, like, role players out of the free agent. We get, like, guys who are, like, for depth. We draft. That's what we do. We're going to draft. We're going to focus on the draft. We're not going to make a trade here and there. Unless somebody wants out, then you'll see somebody get traded. But other than that, I don't think anybody's leaving. As far as that's concerned, I just think, keep it simple. You bring back Project Pat, bring back Gilman, bring back Awuzie, and you can bring back a Hopkins. But honestly, I think Devontae has earned the respect to be brought up another notch. He should be used more in the offense. I mean, you could even give, like, Tylan Wallace another year. You let Justice Hill go. You could let Marlon Humphrey grow. You could. You could let him go, or you can keep him. I don't hate that. I really don't. I like Humphreys. Humphreys, has had ups and down years. But I think if a coach knows what to do with him, he can be good. I've never really loved how Zach Orr has used any of our players. He has Nate Wiggins, 10 yards off of his assignment, and he's a press corner guy. So anyway, I think Jesse Minner can help out pretty much all these guys. I think pretty much Project Pat is a huge thing we got to bring back. Like, I think we don't need big hires. I don't think you're going to, if you want, I'm sorry, not hires, but, big signings, you're not going to get those. You're not going to get Max Crosby in some dramatic-ass trade. You're just not going, excuse my language, you're just not going to get that. I'm sorry. If you're a new Ravens fan, if you're not from Baltimore, and you haven't watched these guys your whole life like I have, I'm telling you now, you're not getting any of that kind of stuff. You're just never going to. They got Mike Green. They're going to let Jones probably walk. And here's another thing that the Ravens do. Ravens go after guys. When they like somebody and they've shown interest in someone, that never ends. And they'd rather chase that dragon than go after their own thing. So, like, for example, we had Draymond, or Jones, I think it's Draymond Jones. We brought him over from Tennessee. Play good. He's a free agent as well. He was never the guy we wanted. We wanted Nick Chubb, who is on the market. So I would expect Nick Chubb, Mike Green to be our, who we like, one, go with, and two, sign. Kyle Van Noy can go. My money, if I'm Eric DeCosta, which I'm not, I'm putting my money on O-line and D-line. I'm letting guys walk. I'm letting them walk. Build this team in. Your secondary's not bad. You got pieces there. Your linebackers are. If Buchanan comes back, and Roquan's got to pick it up. He's got to get better. But a lot of, I think, our defense being so terrible is Zach Orr. And people say, the players are the ones who got to play the. He doesn't know personnel. You're right. They got to go out there and execute the play. But if you don't know and you can't schematically see what this guy does well and what this guy doesn't, don't put him in those spots. And he constantly does. He has Mike Green dropping back in coverage constantly. What are you doing? You don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, he's a terrible coach. He really is. So I think Minner will know what to do with certain guys. I think Mike Green will have a good year too. Adafe's gone. I don't think he's coming back. People have linked us back to him. He might, but I think he's gonna want money. He's probably gonna. We're not gonna offer him the money he probably wants, and he'll probably sign somewhere else that will probably give him that. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers might even. I don't know what their cap situation is like, but. And in all reality, you're not going to see the Ravens make any moves until Lamar's contract is dealt with. It's pretty, important that, and just knowing the Ravens, they don't spend money when there's a lot of money right here in front of us that we can maneuver. They're really stuck on that cap number, and then they'll worry about building a team. Because a lot of the decisions and replacements that are going to be made on this team and on this roster are going to be through the draft. That's just Ravens football. Hate to tell you. If you're a fan that likes big trades and free agent signings, go find the Cowboys. Go join the Cowboys. Be on their fan base. This ain't the team for you. Matabike, they're talking about him coming back. I wouldn't count on it. I just wouldn't. He had a neck injury. I love Matabike. I hope he does come back. But you just can't expect that to just be healed, done with, and be ready week one. You have to. Our money should be spent on offensive line, defensive line. You just patch up thing here or there. You don't need much. We're not asking for. We don't need Max Crosby as much. I mean, I would actually love a Max Crosby. But not for what it's going to cost and what it would take to get a guy like that. You got Mike Green. Go after Nick Chubb. And just patch up some things here and there. You got a lot of good players on both sides of the ball. We're not as, far as people, I think we are from any kind of contending for anything. I mean, we'll be okay. Eric DeCosta, this is his time to shine. These lazy ESPN analysts, they're like, Lamar's next, man. Like, John's gone, Lamar's next. I saw Cam Newton say that. And he's really just speaking about his experience and his trauma because, he's a dork. He doesn't know. The Ravens aren't Carolina. We don't run our franchise. That's the reason why we're letting Isaiah Likely go. And we brought back Mark Andrews. Because it was just the moral thing to do. This guy's older. He's done more. He's got all our franchise records. How do we just let that walk? How do we trade that? We'll look like a bad organization if we do that. So we did the honorable thing. right? So that's what the Ravens are going to do. They're going to do Ravens things. Um, when we let John go, that was us saying we're picking Lamar over John Harbaugh. Not, Lamar, you're next, buddy. I'll tell you who's next. It's Eric DeCosta. Eric DeCosta is next. Minter's going to be here. They're going to give him some leeway. They're going to give him some years to figure this out. They're going to give all these guys years to figure this out. It's Eric DeCosta. That's who's next. And I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to be with John. He is a John lover. He sees no wrong in John Harbaugh, and that's sort of a problem. If you couldn't see what you had in Mike Macdonald right in front of you, and you couldn't see how bad John Harbaugh is, even with having that guy, then what really do you know about football, Eric? And this needs to be his best year draft class wise. It really does, because that's where we're gonna really patch up this roster, is in the draft. People think we're gonna go after a wide receiver in the first round, or that defensive lineman from Miami, who I would like, but they think he's gonna fall based off his combine results and everything. I can see that happening. But in all actuality, if you guys think there's going to be like a big thing, I wouldn't be surprised if we go right to offensive line in the first round. I just wouldn't be surprised. It's the more important thing. Or defense. As long as it's offensive line or defensive line. But if you think it's going to be a wide receiver or anything other than that, I just don't see that happening. And you're not going to see us make any signings or anything like that until the Lamar contract is dealt with. And that's just how it is. So I just want to make a quick video going over that. Obviously there's more things to come. I just wanted to kind of go over those things before the Ravens start making moves or start, the draft starts being talked about and things. I might do some videos on those kind of who goes where and all that kind of stuff. I don't love that kind of stuff because I don't like talking about stuff that's not, you can't weigh, it's not in front of you. It's just, I don't like speculating and all that. I just kind of go off of what I know my team likes to do and what is more likely, And I'm not trying to make videos where I doing things for clicks. I'm just trying to give people who like the Ravens, like the Orioles, like reasonable, level-headed, more reality-based, just factual stuff. That's the audience I'm trying to interact with, And I'm hoping that you guys comment, tell me what you think, what signings you'd like. I don't know. Give me some game, you know what I mean? Just I'm trying to give you guys game. I'd love to get some feedback. Hopefully get some kind of discussion going, you know what I mean? And give me some ideas on what you guys think, because I'm not the only dude who likes the Ravens and might have a few opinions that are pretty solid. So be looking forward to hearing from you guys. I'll see you.